Hi everyone, this is Fernanda, Vela, Program Manager in Microsoft Defender for Cloud. And in many of my meetings I usually have with teammates and also customers, half of them are about containers. So I'm going to have a brief journey about what's a container, Azure Container Registries, how to actually push an image through Docker, and some of the security best practices that you can have with it. So let's drill into it and please submit your feedback. So, first things first, what is a container? In simple words, it's a standardized, portable packaging for your applications. And applications are actually at the center of business, and these are usually run on servers, right? So many years ago, you could find a single application running in a server, which at the end turned out to be super expensive and pretty hard to administrate with, let's just say, updates, patches, fixes, and more. So now, in the containers model, we have only one server and one operating system. And on top of all of that, we create containers, which is part of the operating system. Finally, inside of those containers, we have our applications. One app per container. How cool is that? One of the many benefits of containers is that applications run super fast because they don't have to boot the OS, so they can start because the OS is actually running already. Bringing, for example, applications that spin up in seconds. And another huge benefit is that you only need to administer a single server and a single operating system, which lowers so much cost and management. Let's now do a demonstration that starts with pushing an image through Docker, show how to view the repository through the portal, and share some of the best practices when deploying containers. I'm basing this demonstration in our how-to guide, push your first image to your Azure Container Registry using the Docker command line. First, I have to log into Azure and then my container registry. There are actually two ways suggested in the guide for this. The first one is to log into the Azure command line and authenticate to my registry. I created my registry by going into the Azure portal, clicking on Create a Resource, and selecting Container Registry. After I finish, I can go to my container registry and copy that name to my console. Notice that this didn't ask for usernames, passwords, or anything because I had already authenticated in the previous line. The other method is to use Docker login, which, as you can see, will ask for a username and password. Here, I can go to Access Keys, and we can use the username and one of those auto-generated passwords. Time for the image. Let's get a public one from Nginx. Now that we pull it, let's run the container locally. If I go to my web browser and type localhost and the port I previously defined to run the container, I'll see the default web page by Nginx in the container. It is now time to create an alias of the image that will live in the registry. In this exercise, I'm using sample. Now, let's push the image into the registry, pull it, and start the Nginx container. As you can see, we can actually go into the container registry in the Azure portal, go to repositories, and see that we have the samples one that we created. We can also see that we have the tag latest that we actually defined in the Docker push. Let's talk a bit about some of the best practices for deploying this. An Azure Container Registry accepts connections over the internet from hosts on any network. One way of minimizing the threats is to configure your container registry to only accept access from specific IP addresses or ranges. Another cool option is to actually use private links. With this, you can limit access to a registry. How? You may be wondering. And it is by assigning virtual network private IP addresses to the registry endpoints and using this Azure private link, which makes network traffic go through the virtual network and use the Microsoft's backbone network. How cool is that? There's more documentation about it in Azure Container Registries that touches security and authentication in case you want to explore it. And that's all. Thank you so much for watching this presentation. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment because we have so much more content coming up. Thank you so much.